We're joined now by Angus King of Maine. He's a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee. That's Raul Reyes, so we'll get to the senator here in a second. Do we have the senator?
I'm here.
There he is. Senator King, great to see you, sir. So when we were listening to President Obama and his speech, also hearing from Vladimir Putin, and he feels that we need to be supportive of the Syrian government, do you feel Bashar al-Assad needs to go, and who should be his replacement?
Yes, Assad is the Islamic State's evil twin. He's the one that brought him into existence in the first place. He's the one that they're all fighting against, including all kinds of other opposition who aren't Islamic State, who aren't jihadists. I mean, the trouble with Putin's position is that as long as Assad is there, there's going to be a war going on there, and Assad hasn't, he makes it worse every day. He barrel bombs his own people. He's creating all this refugees. So Russia could play a constructive role here, because Assad has been their client for many years, but the constructive role would be to ease him out in some way, leave some structure of government there, and then allow some kind of new government to come in place that involves at least the moderate opposition, what's left of it after the last 3 years. But to say that somehow you can fight ISIL and leave Assad, that just doesn't pass the straight face test.
And one thing to remind people, war is a business. There are people around this nation, around the globe, that are making money from the destabilization of these zones.
Well, I think that's always the case, but I think it sometimes gets to that gets more attention than it deserves. I don't think business interests are driving this. I think they're geopolitical interests. Russia wants a foothold in the Middle East, and the last place that they have left is northwestern Syria, and I think they want to secure that. But that ought to be part of the negotiation, instead of saying Assad himself has to stay. He's become the symbol of this oppressive regime that bombs its own people. And as long as he's there, it's going to be very hard. Now, on the other hand, if Russia wants to join the coalition and help us and many others to take on ISIL, that would be fine. But if it's, we got to prop up Assad. The question is, what is their real motivation? Is it to take on ISIL, or is it to prop up Assad? If it's the latter, then it's a policy that ultimately is not going to work. The best thing they could do to help us confront ISIL is to ease Assad out.
Meanwhile, GOP frontrunner Donald Trump gives his blessing to Vladimir Putin to go in and take care of ISIS. He did so in 60 Minutes. Take a look.
If you look at Syria, Russia wants to get rid of ISIS. We want to get rid of ISIS. Maybe let Russia do it. Let them get rid of ISIS. What the hell do we care?
Okay, that's Syria. What do you do in Iraq with ISIS?
Look, with ISIS in Iraq, you got to knock them out.
How do you do that?
You got to fight them. You got to fight them. You have to send it. If you need, you're going to have to do that. Yes.
So what do you make of that, Senator? Do you think that that is a strategy that we could consider?
I think the problem with his analysis is he ignores what brought ISIS into existence in the first place, which is Assad, and the fact that Assad is, as I say, killing his own people, driving these, half the population of Syria has been driven either into external exile or internal exile. And so to say, oh yeah, let's just turn the Syria anti-ISIL operation over to Russia would cement Assad into place, which would only further the conflict. And, I'm not sure Russia would have any better luck in Syria trying to pull that off than they did in Afghanistan 25 or 30 years ago. So I do think there's a place for a relationship with Russia, because we do have a common interest. They are worried about the rise of ISIS. They're worried about terrorists and jihadists in Chechnya and in their country. So they have that concern. Let's build on that. But to say that Assad has to stay in order for them to be involved and helpful, that's just not going to work.
Senator Angus King, sir, thanks for being with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Thomas.